For the first visit, the former king, Juan Carlos, since he went into exile nearly 2 years ago.
To give you a bit of a refresher, Stuart, he abdicated the throne back in 2014 after a series of scandals over corruption, his private life, and also an expensive elephant hunting safari. He then exiled himself in Abu Dhabi in 2020 after Spanish and Swiss prosecutors opened investigations into accounts he held in tax havens. Those investigations have now been closed, either because he had immunity at the time or because of the statute of limitations. So because of that, he's now able to return to Spain. He is set to arrive today to attend a regatta in Sanxenxo. We see him here on the front page of ABC in a picture taken at that regatta back in 2016. Now, his visit is controversial, and that's with good reason, according to the center-left paper, El País. They write here in their editorial that while there may be no legal reasons he can't return to Spain, there are ethical ones. The paper writes that he still hasn't properly explained or apologized for his actions, and ultimately, the paper says the bad feeling among Spanish people means he's not going to find the same kind of quality of life that he had on this visit in Spain. He will be meeting with his son, King Felipe, but not until Monday, and he's not going to be allowed to sleep over at the royal palace. Other papers are warning Juan Carlos that he'd better be on his best behavior during this trip. That's the idea of this cartoon from El Mundo, his angelic side telling the devil on his shoulder, you have to stay in Abu Dhabi. You have already caused enough trouble.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of reception he gets, won't it? Let's come to France for the next word about parliamentary elections. This is. They're coming up in June, of course. Emmanuel Macron's party is facing a bit of a setback after one of their candidates had to withdraw at the last minute.
This, Stuart, is a problem that they really should have seen coming. This candidate, Jérôme Perrat, was convicted of domestic violence back in 2020 for hitting his wife. He hurt her so badly that she actually missed 2 weeks of work. This was already a brewing scandal in recent days, but according to Le Monde, his fate was really sealed yesterday when a party official defended him on the radio. He called him an honest man who he didn't think was capable of violence against women. This brought the scandal to a real head within the party. Jérôme Perrat ultimately withdrew his candidacy. Libération is wondering why he was a candidate in the first place. Maybe they think Macron's party decided that his experience made him worth the political risk. The paper, though, brings up another reason that this scandal has been particularly embarrassing and problematic for Macron's party, and that is that Macron has made fighting against domestic violence one of his priorities. Now, a lot of feminists will tell you that his track record over the past 5 years was already not very convincing on that subject, and this scandal certainly doesn't help.
Not a surprise. Moving on to a story about gender equality this time. Papers in the US are hailing a new deal. It's granting women's football team, the members of it, equal pay with the men.
This is a landmark deal that has been years in the making. Notably ensures that the two teams share their prize money from the World Cups. The Wall Street Journal calls it, quote, an extraordinary bid to erase a disparity that is beyond the control of U.S. soccer. That is the gulf in prize money between what FIFA awards for the men's and women's World Cups. Now, to give you an example, Stuart, from this article, men's teams that will be finishing anywhere between 9th and 16th place in the 2022 World Cup will get $13 million in prize money. The women's team, in contrast, that wins the 2023 Women's World Cup will only get an estimated $8 million, which is less than 2/3 as much. As the Washington Post sports columnist writes, money is respect. Finally, she says the U.S. women's national team members will be properly valued as the national treasures they are, even if it took a revolution to get there. And she points out that perhaps the most radical part of this deal isn't even the pay, but the fact that it includes a provision ensuring childcare for both the women and the men's teams. A reminder, I think, that when women are granted equality, well, men ultimately are winners as well.
Well, at least there's been some kind of revolution anyway. Alison's going to name some animal stories. Not sure we've had some on the press review of late. The first one asks the question, a very important question, I hope you've already considered it, whether elephants can be considered humans.
Well, Stuart, according to an animal rights group, yes, they can, and they
Really?
should be. This group is bringing a case against the Bronx Zoo in New York, arguing that their Asian elephant named Happy is actually unhappy and should be moved from a, quote, 1-acre prison to an animal sanctuary. January. This story comes from the Associated Press, but The Guardian has given it a nice headline here, "The person in the room?" ? We'll see if the court is convinced by the argument the rights group is trying to use a proceeding that usually allows humans to challenge illegal confinement. Is it going to work for the elephants? We'll have to find out. The court heard arguments on Wednesday, so stay tuned for the verdict. Now, a win for the elephant could open the door for other legal proceedings on behalf of animals, and cats in southern Germany might want to pay attention. We read here in the local that they are going to be sent into lockdown for the summer in one town. Now, it is for a noble cause. It is to protect birds, specifically crested larks, which are in danger of extinction. Cat owners who break the rules will face fines of up to 500 euros and 50,000 euros if their cat actually kills one of the birds.
Oh.
So lock up your cats this summer and free the elephants.
That looks like my cat. That looks
Really?
like my family cat. Yeah, definitely.
Is it
Very
an inside
cute.
cat?
It's an inside cat, though, yeah, living in an apartment block in Paris. Not very easy to have an
I'm going
external
to sue you
one.
for that, Stuart.
I know, I feel bad about it myself, to be honest, but there you go. Got children, wanted cat. Thank you very much, Alison Sargent with the papers on France 24. Latest news coming up very shortly.